So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Water Tap. Yeah, what is Water Tap? It's a tap that you may be using in different locations and different situation, but in our case, we are using it to promote water integrity. There might be also other terms that are related to it, but we are avoiding the C word. Do you know what's the C word? We will explain it probably later. But that's why we are implementing TAP, Water Tap. And we will have first a presentation by the regional trainer and expert Mustafa Biat from Morocco. He started to work in the program of Water Tap when he was still an ONI staff member. He's explaining the concept towards water integrity through strengthening TAP, transparency, accountability, participation. And this is a program that we developed for the utility level. Then we will hear two case studies from the pilot utilities that we are implementing. That's from Tunisia, ONE, and from SONEDE. And at the end of our session, we will have a short introduction to the new program that is launched by CIVI, that is called Water Integrity Capacity Building Program for the MENA region. So it's complementary to what GI said in coordination and in cooperation with our partners is implementing in the MENA region. And that's, of course, our main partner, of course, it's ACWA, the Regional Water Association. But the program, to be very transparent and accountable and participatory, the program is implemented individually with utilities. It's not a top-down approach, where the Water Association or a national agency is telling the utility what to do. And in this respect, we are cooperating with the holding company since December in Egypt in 3 utilities. And we are working together probably from Thursday on with Miahuna and Aqaba Water. And we are working here in Jordan. And we are working since 1 year with ONE and SONEDE. So, you got already a flyer that explains broadly the concept. Another output that we developed over the past year, it's a training manual. A training manual that was specifically developed in order to implement this program. And how this program looks, I'm now inviting the first presenter, Mustafa Biat, from Morocco. Since 1 week he's an ACWA WANT advisor to explain you the concept towards water integrity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad to share with you key points about water integrity, Water Tap, and the plan of my presentation is the following. I will start to explain why integrity is important for utilities, what is at stake, and then I will explain a little bit about the risks and why water sector is a high risk for integrity risks, and also explaining the processes for risk mapping, how to develop action plan, and I will finish explaining what an actual action plan looks like. So all over the world, water utilities have the same constraints, have the same concern, is to provide the best water service at the best quality in efficient and effective manner. But in the same time, they have to comply with some rules regarding management, regarding governance. And usually those rules are imposed by external actors and by the institutional environment of those utilities. So the pressure of improving performance and fulfilling the commitments of all stakeholders in matters of quality, in performance, efficiency, effectiveness, etc. And integrity is very important aspect in this. And we explain why. First, because as you know, water and wastewater sector are very capital intensive. They need a lot of capital, they need a lot of investment to build facilities and also to run facilities. And this requires high level of transparency and of accountability from all the involved partners, including the customers and the civil society. And also, the risk of non-integrity is very dangerous in utilities for two main reasons. The first one is the economic loss. Due to, I will explain with some examples. The non-integrity is likely to create economic loss, and also the climate of non-integrity is very demotivating. It's undermined the motivation inside the company and outside the company. Inside the company within the staff, within the employees, and outside within the customers and within the partners. Just to explain this, let me explain this table which gives some examples. For instance, for economic losses, we need that all resources, mainly investment resources, go directly to the targeted objectives. And this and not to be diverted from their purposes. And the second one, because if it's not done, it's directly, we will have not non-efficient projects and the quality of works, the quality of infrastructure, and we need very early rehabilitation, and it's very non-economical approach. And the second one is linked also, the first one is value for money. Value for money for all the projects we are constructing, we are building, and also value for money for the customers, because our customers are paying the service, they need value for their money. The third one for risk of economic loss is risk of low collection. If we have bad practices with some kind of staff, there is a risk to have low collection, and also a risk to have high non-revenue water, mainly linked to billing and metering. The other example, it's linked to demotivation and loss of reputation of the utility. And this will introduce unwillingness to pay from our customers. And also the impunity is very dangerous also. And we have diluted responsibilities among the utilities and loss of public support. The last one is low motivation inside the utility, because there is no transparency in different procedures linked linked, for instance, to hiring, to employment, to promotions, etc. And to strengthen this, we can give some example from international, at the international level. The first one is a report from Stargren 2006, done by the World Bank. And this, according to World Bank, 20 to 40% of finance is lost due to bad or dishonest practices, and very huge amount of money. The second one, it's linked to operation and maintenance, and it said there was a survey among, I think, 21 water companies in Africa, and the result that we have the 2/3 of operating costs is due to corrupted or bad practices in those utilities. The third statement, it's not, there are no figures inside, but it states that the problem of integrity, it's a worldwide problem, not only in African or in MENA region, and even in well-established countries, democratic countries or organizations like UN or like World Bank, we can find problem of integrity. If some people are not operating or acting in honest manner. So why water sector is very high risk? According to a study by the International Transparency of 2008, there are many aspects, but the most obvious one, by nature, water sectors include large monopolies and large construction projects. We also, over the world, water sector involve high level of involvement of the public sector, different institutions and different departments. And also the technical complexity of the projects and the processes in the utilities, and sometimes we have a complex aspects to, if we want to practice the TAP, the transparency, accountability, and participation. And also there is high interaction between the service providers and between the customers. And this creates some power of position from the staff inside the providers, the suppliers, and frequent interaction between different service providers and the civil society at the risk of discretionary action. So the question why we assess the risks, the integrity risks, because as we said in Arabic, al-wiqayatu khayrun min al-ilaj. It means that assessing the risk and the potential of non-integrity is more effective and more efficient than to take actions after the bad practices has been installed. So we need to be preventive. And the methodology or the approach, it's I think some of you already know the principle is the risk management. You know the risk management process is the same. We need to identify the risks, to prioritize the risks according to some criteria, and to develop actions to respond or to mitigate or to eliminate the risks. And that's the approach that was developed in the different utilities in ONE, SONED, and now starting in Egypt and perhaps next week in Jordan. So the different steps, if we go just in detail of the previous slide, the first step is overview of the utility, because the idea is to make a diagnosis of the value chain of water service, of wastewater service, and to identify the main actors and the main interactions and the area of integrity risks. So we need to define the processes and the sub-processes of the value chain. The second step, to identify the integrity risks, and how we identify the integrity risks by some what we call warning signs. We have early warning indicators that tell us there is a problem of risk of integrity. As we said, we are now in how we call it, preventive approach, and we try to know what are the warning signs, what are the drivers, what are the impacts, and try to classify the priority of the risks. And if this is done, we can develop the mitigation actions and the action plan and measures to promote the different kind of aspects linked to integrity. It means transparency, accountability, and participation. And the implementation of the action plan according to priorities. So what the action plan looks like. So first, the result of the analysis is what we call the mapping, the risk mapping analysis. We try to define the processes of the value chain of the utilities, water or wastewater utilities, to define what are the main risks, the main risk area, what are the indicators, the early warning signs for the risks, and to try to discuss and or to score the significance of the risks according to two main things: the impact and the probability of the risks, and to develop the mitigation actions and instruments to promote the TAP. And then we start with the action plan. And in the action plan, as you know, we define who is doing what, when, and where. And also very important, how to evaluate and how to monitor and how to evaluate. And how to monitor, how to evaluate, there are two aspects for measurement. We can first try to, and that's the easy one, to measure the output-oriented aspects linked to the action plan, to the actions, how far we are implementing the actions, and what is the first results, and at the long run, try to measure what is the impact, what is the outcome, and this is the very or the most difficult aspects of the evaluation. According to the first results from the two countries, and also from other experience around the world, the action plan includes some aspects linked to incentives for integrity, and disincentives for non-compliance or for fraud of other bad practices. So the incentives, code of conduct, for instance, code of procurement, code of ethics, there are different examples in different utilities. Mechanism for participation of different kind of stakeholders outside the utilities and also inside the utility. Develop mechanism of participation, users, citizens, customers. And also, this is very important. In my personal opinion, we need to develop things that encourage integrity and to develop incentives. But when we find something going bad, we need to apply sanction, because impunity, as we said, it's very dangerous, and we have seen many examples of this. And also try to develop internal control analysis, internal control, develop compliance system or complaints follow-up, and also try to reduce at the maximum the level of monopoly and discretion. By that, my take and my presentation. Thank you for attention.
Yeah, congratulations. I think this was the first presentation on 15 minutes on water integrity without pronouncing the C word worldwide. So, is there any question related to the understanding of it? Not the discussion, but understanding. Or was it so clear that everything is completed and then we can go ahead for the first presentation of what we are doing since 1 year together with the first implementing agency, and that's ONE. That's the national water service provider in Morocco. So I'm inviting Mr. Abderrafi Mardi, who is from the Institute, to explain what we are doing, and then you can forward question on the implementation.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Mardi. I am working for the International Institute for Water and Sanitation, which belongs to the ONE from Morocco. Let me introduce the ONE, which is National Office of Electricity and Potable Water. This is a national public institution which has been created exists since 2011 after the merger of two big institutions that are the National Office of Electricity and National Office of Potable Water. I will focus here on the potable water branch of ONE. ONE is, for instance, the main actors in water, drinking water and sanitation for Morocco. It's delivering water, producing water and delivering water for almost 600 municipalities. It's the first suppliers in terms of subscribers, and it's the main producer of drinking water. Why water integrity? Water integrity has to do with governance, and for this issue governance, ONE has launched a strategy to reinforce and enhance its governance. And this governance is embedded in 3 levels. First is the international context, because ONE is international context because our country has signed many treaties and conventions related to governance, and also many funders and financial institutions require more and more strict applications in terms of governance. At the national level, as you know, since 2011, there was a new constitution that stated clearly that responsibility should be linked to accountability. And also, there is also a code of good governance of public companies. As an example of this implementation of the new constitutions, you may have heard that last week one of our ministers was dismissed because of somehow bad governance. For the 3rd level, that concerns water sectors and sanitations, in ONE, since a couple of years, we set up a strategy that should promote governance, and this strategy comprises many things. For example, the reinforcement of the internal control and the adoption of a strategy based on risk mapping, and also a quality policy. In this context, with a partnership with GIZ, we launched this project of implementing water integrity. And this started with a meeting with the representative of GIZ, and through as an outcome of this meeting, we signed a memorandum of understanding that sets the way we should implement this water integrity project and the planning of all what we have done. And then comes one action that it concerned training of trainers. This TOT was implemented in Germany with the GIZ, support of GIZ, and from ONE there was a team of 4 executives that attended this training.